meeting to order at 6 p.m. Start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have roll call, please, Maria.
Mrs. Rail? Here. Mrs. Hett? Here. Mr. Davis? Here. Mrs. Medina? Here. Mr. Cranes?
Here. Thank you, Maria. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce our new superintendent, Mr. Craig Broran. I was negligent last month and forgot to do it. I apologize for that. I was reminded. I'm sorry. Welcome.
It was just fine. But thank you.
Okay, the first item is a special presentation with the AmeriCorps Farm to School program. I'm guessing that's Lizzie.
Yes, yeah. Well, thank you for the time this evening. We just wanted an opportunity to allow Megan and Alex, who've been our AmeriCorps Farm to School members this year, to kind of showcase what they've done throughout the district. WRPS and Wood County has been a strong proponent of farm to school, and they'll tell you a little bit more about what is farm to school. But basically, emphasizing on school gardens, local procurement, and a lot of nutrition education to provide students with just overall, health education and wellness education. So we partnered with Wood County Health Department this year to be an AmeriCorps Farm to School host site, which is through the Department of Ag. And we were fortunate enough to get Alex and Megan to be both the nutrition educator and community outreach members. And they've been amazing this year. And so they're going to talk a little bit more about what they did this year. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Okay, great. So thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm Megan Brand. I'm the nutrition educator.
Yep, and I'm Alex Maves, community outreach coordinator.
So we're just going to tell you guys a little bit about what we did. So the mission of AmeriCorps Farm to School is to combat obesity by bringing nutrition, agriculture, and gardening lessons into the classrooms through work and education in school gardens.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. So a little bit about my position as community outreach coordinator. Like the mission said, it's really about procurement, nutrition education, and then the school gardens. So I really focus on the procurement aspect of all of this. So first, I spent a lot of time just going through and talking to local farmers and kind of letting them know what farm to school was, what we were trying to do, just trying to connect them and local foods into the school districts. So we explored at first maybe trying to get farmers to plan to grow for school so that we can buy larger quantities of things that they grow for us right off the bat. There's a few barriers with that we're still trying to kind of work through, but that's something in the future is really a big hope for farm to school. So this year we focused more on doing taste tests and just kind of getting the kids exposed to what farm to school is and getting kids and teachers excited about the whole thing and getting farmers involved too. So we ended up doing some larger cafeteria tests, like this excited picture you can see down here, where we go in and we prep whatever produce that we brought in, and we do a really large scale one and sit through the whole lunch hour while kids rotated through, and we could talk to them a little about what we were doing and get them tasting some of the local snacks that we were bringing in. And then we did some smaller ones. We did taste tests in different classrooms, and then we could do more of an in-depth presentation and give them more information about where their food's coming from and the importance of eating and buying local. We asked farmers if they could do farmer visits or if they could be open to doing field trips and things like that. So this year we got a beekeeper in, and she did a little presentation and just kind of showed the kids where all their honey was coming from and different things like that, just to get them thinking about it. So just during the school year, we end up doing local carrots, sweet potatoes, honey, a couple different kinds of radishes, dried cranberries, the pink and purple potatoes that you can see down there. Yeah, so we did some fun tests with those.
And that's not food dye in there. That's the color of the potatoes.
Totally natural colors. So I just kind of broke it down here then. This is how I kept track of what we were doing with all the taste tests. You can see in red the different numbers that we did. We did a ton of cafeteria tests with the sweet potatoes, so a lot of kids were exposed to that. Some of the smaller ones were just the smaller in-depth classroom presentations that we did, but in the end we served about 3,514 local snacks in the school this year, so it was an exciting number.
And then a little about my position. Like I said, I taught nutrition, agriculture, and garden lessons in 8 different schools, including pre-K, second, fourth, and middle school. So we got into the middle school with one class with a radish taste test and a little bit about cranberries and the cranberry taste test. The second grade I taught nutrition lessons mostly too, but we did a little bit of planting seeds for gardens and things like that, and more garden lessons. And I did mostly agriculture lessons with the fourth grade, all the fourth grade classrooms that we worked with. So 8 schools, 29 classrooms, including the daycare as well. So we got a chance to work with Happy Days Daycare here in Rapids with garden lessons. And then these are all the examples of lessons that I did. I'll just talk about a few of them for sake of time, but for second grade, there's one that we did about energy, and it was all about how food is for your body and how it's to give you energy for the day, and not necessarily like don't eat junk food, but more about what kinds of food can give you lasting energy throughout the day. Another example for the daycare lessons was a 5 senses activity. So with the daycare, we did more hands-on activities. And we did, for the daycare 5 senses one, we did a radish taste test. And we did stamping we cut radishes in half and then paint stamping with them. So they got that hands-on touch experience. We talked about all the 5 senses and did things with that. And then, like I talked about the radish lesson at the middle school with the taste test and cranberry taste test with that. And then for garden lessons, there was one that was really cool that the kids really enjoyed and the teachers enjoyed too, especially the Mead second grade. All 4 sections of Mead second grade really enjoyed our hands-on experiences with them. The soda bottle planter is basically a soda bottle cut in half, and you invert the top into the bottom, put a paper towel in, put some soil in, and put some seeds in, and basically it's a self-watering planter. So they learned about reusable energy and planting. And the other lesson that I would tell you about is the foraging lesson that I did with 4th grade. So I tried to make all of my lessons very hands-on and interactive, and that one especially was because I hid little cheese heads like around the classroom, and they had to forage for the cheese and for the water, and they had to kind of experience what it was like to be back in the Stone Age and forage and hunt and farm for their food. So that's the lessons.
Yeah, and then the third part was school gardens that Megan and I got to collaborate on. We ended up working with 2 school gardens, with Washington Elementary and Mead Elementary, and Washington has a really established garden already, and it's really great over there. So we just ended up adopting one bed, which is the top picture you can see up there. And initially we were planning to do summer school activities, but that fell through a little. Hopefully that's something that can happen in future years. But we did a lot of activities on that food with the daycare, at farmers market activities and things like that. You guys will get to taste a little bit of it as well. So, and we successfully grew radishes and lettuce and potatoes, cucumbers, just got some melons and peppers sprouting, and tomatoes, herbs, onions, lots of stuff in the Washington garden. But our really big project was the Mead garden. It's the bottom picture that you can see here. We ended up doing a lot of work on it. It was really overrun with weeds and not really being put to use, so we revamped it a little and did a lot of weeding and put in the wood chips and the mulch and like a black netting tarp and all these things to hopefully get families and kids more involved with this. So all those soda bottle planters and activities that we did, kids could come out and they planted some of them right in there with us, and we just kind of taught them the basics of that. And the goal is to eventually get families to adopt those beds. We kind of started that this year. We promoted it a lot, and we successfully adopted out all 21 beds, but only about half of them got filled this year, which I think with it being a first year, that was a pretty good outcome, and hopefully that can grow to where it's being used really often with the families and the kids at Mead. And it's a free opportunity, and they can keep what they grow, so it would be a really cool thing to do at the school.
And we also got a couple grants there just to help with supplies and things like that for the school gardens especially. We got a quick trip grant that I wrote for $25 for just general supplies, which we used for some food taste test supplies and for the chips that we're using for the salsa today and things like that. But the big one that we got was a Watch Us Sprout grant through Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they provided $500 to go towards a school garden. Or towards both of our school gardens. We mostly use it for Mead for buying the supplies like the tarp to put down, and we bought a big deck box that we put together and put all the supplies in, so that was a really helpful grant. And they also provided seeds for every student in, we use it mostly for Mead, so it was for seeds for every student in Mead Elementary School to plant and take home and plant. So that was a really good grant to have. And the volunteer day, so that was where we were able to do all of this great work that you can see in the picture down below at Mead Elementary with weeding. So it was completely overrun. You'll see in the pictures on the very last slide that I think it was back in 2015. Weeds were like up to here and everything, and so we got to weed all that with the 6 Wisconsin target managers that we procured through the volunteersrock.org website, and then some of our family and friends also came to help with the weeding.
And then lastly, we just kind of want to touch on what we've been doing the last few months. With school being out, we ended up doing, like Megan said, the farm to early care education. So we did weekly lessons at Happy Days Daycare and did some taste tests and games and activities. We did gleaning at the markets, which if you aren't familiar with that, we go around to the different farmers at the end and they donate. We were getting hundreds of pounds of produce that they aren't going to be selling, that might be going bad. And we took it to the Sweps food pantry then every Thursday so that they could get rotated fresh produce in. And we were able to we did another salsa taste test at the pantry and made material just on how to use and store certain produce that maybe they're unfamiliar with, just to help out in that aspect. And then we did a few different children's activities at the farmers market as well, just to get kids more involved, and then tabling at events and just promoting the farm to school cause to as many people in the community as we could.
And I think our last slide is to thank you for listening to our presentation, and you can check out all the cool pictures of the gardens and things that we did at all the elementary and middle. And
you can see the top left is Mead Garden, Exhibit A, before the makeover.
Yes.
Yeah, so quite a bit went into that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we did want to hand out, we have a little salsa taste test for you guys as well, kind of like what we would do in the schools, and a lot of it came from our school gardens that we grew. So
what we can do in the essence of time is take it into the break room and we'll cup it up and we'll bring it out. Perfect. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, nice job.
Okay, next on our agenda is approval of the minutes.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of July 10th, 2017.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the regular Board of Education meeting minutes of July 10th, 2017. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. These minutes are approved. Next, we have comments from citizens. Anytime, right? Okay, we can move on to committee reports. John's not here, so Larry or Katie, one of you like to?
Katie.
I was going to be doing that, but okay, so we had 3 consent agenda items, BS1, BS2, BS3. First one was the interdistrict agreement, and that was 660301 cooperative agreement for the students in the attending the virtual program. We had several different school districts attending: Adams, Friendship, Eau Claire, Necedah, Cordova, Stevens Point, and Teresa County School District. And the second one, we had the first reading of Policy 840, Public Gifts to the Schools. There were some changes, and we had Policy 840, Public Gifts to the Schools, an update on that. There was just there wasn't any really big changes in there. It was just some kind of tweaking that was going on with that. And then 851, advertising in the schools, and that was something that we're talking about in order to possibly get some revenue through advertising and some of our, maybe, for example, in some of our athletic venues and whatnot. So Policy 851, the advertising in the school, was the first reading. So I would make a motion that BS1, BS2, BS3 be approved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve BS1, 2, and 3. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
And we just had some updates of purchases. Most of it was software for our school year. Also the gaggle, the student staff software. Our police liaison, and we also have a contract we're going to get the fiber cable running to the hockey building, and so that was another purchase. Another update, I think that was it, the cables repair. So the committee recommends and I move to approve the rest of the minutes from August 7th, 2017.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes of August 7th, 2017. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Katie. Apologize for not letting you know. It's found out small. Move into personnel. Sandy.
Personnel services met last Monday, August 7th. We had no public comment at that meeting. We have 15 consent agenda items from that meeting. Number 1, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 3 professional staff appointments. 2, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 1 non-represented certified staff appointment. This is a district school nurse, and she has her BA in nursing, so she'd be an RN. 3, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 6 support staff appointments. 4, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 5 following supports, the 5 support staff resignations. 5, that was 4. 5, the committee recommends and I move to approve the support staff early retirement. 6, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 2017-18 wage increase of 1.40% for confidential secretaries retroactive to July 1st, 2017. And the next 2 will tell you why we're looking at 1.40%. Number 7, the committee recommends and I move to approve the elimination of the eye care physical exam benefit for confidential secretaries effective July 1st, 2017. 8, the committee recommends and I move to approve a benefit adjustment for confidential secretaries to take effect with the 2017-18 employment year, which eliminates the Good Friday holiday and adds language to provide confidential secretaries with 1 additional vacation day annually after 20 years of service with the district. 9, the committee recommends and I move to approve a benefit adjustment for confidential secretaries to take effect with the 2017-18 employment year, changing the early retirement health insurance section of confidential secretaries' employee benefit document to provide confidential secretaries the same early retirement health insurance benefits as offered to teachers. 10th, the committee recommends and I move to approve the 2017-18 total base wage increase of 1.26% for office clerical and aide support staff retroactive to July 1st, 2017, and incorporating a differentiated distribution of the total wage base increase to individual employees by job classifications as presented by the administration. 11, the committee recommends and I move to approve increasing individual office clerical support staff hourly wage rates for year-round employees as presented by the administration, retroactive to July 1st, 2017. 12, the committee recommends and I move to approve a reoccurring supplemental wage increase of $5,000 for Ryan Kinshay beginning with the 2017-18 school year. 13, the committee recommends and I move to approve a reoccurring supplemental wage increase of $5,000 for Miranda Mooney beginning with the 2017-18 school year. We are now have districts that are actively going after our teachers. And what we're doing is this for retention. If we don't do this, we're going to lose them. That's just the way it is in today's age.
Those are area. What area?
The area, the one is business education, and the second one is she's teaching a college credit course. She has a master's in English, is one of the requirements, and she had to take special classes also in order to do this. If she doesn't teach it, these kids, which we have 130 of them registered for it in 6 sessions, they would not get college credit. So if we didn't have her, we'd have these kids with no college credit. And these were, actively recruited by other districts. It's unbelievable, I guess. And 15, the committee recommends, and I move to approve a wage increase for substitute teachers from a rate of $106 per day to a rate of $120 per day, beginning with the start of the 2017-18 school year. We raised it. We were in great competition with Stevens Point. They are still ahead of us when it comes to the rate, but we figured nobody's going to travel that distance for the amount of money we're under Stevens Point. It would be in our greatest competition. So does anybody want any of those?
You skipped 14.
Huh?
You skipped 14.
I skipped 14? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's important. 14, the committee recommends, and I move to approve the Director of Human Resources at his or her discretion for the purposes of employee retention and with the superintendent approval, the authority to issue a reoccurring supplemental wage increase to individual professional staff employees in an amount not to exceed $5,000. We're doing this because it could all be timing. If the timing was off, we could have probably lost some of these people. They might have signed with a different district. So it behoves us to be able to do this in a timely manner. Okay, now we have 15, right? I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve PS1 through PS15. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
And then we just had updates and reports in the employee assistant program in the activity and utilization rate update for first 6 months of 2017, January 1st to June 30th. Pretty much it's the same as the other years. There's no big increase or decrease. And on professional staff hiring update, as of our committee meeting, we had like 2 vacancies we were looking at. Is that still true? Still true. But we're in better shape than we were last year, I believe. And with that, I move that the minutes from the August 7th Personnel Services Committee meeting be approved as printed.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the Personnel Services Committee meeting minutes of August 7th, 2017. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then I move to approve the special open and closed session committee meeting minutes of July 5th, 2017. Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the open and closed committee meeting minutes of July 5th, 2017. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Those minutes are approved. Thank you, Sandy. Next, Education Services Committee.
Okay, and I'll do that for Ann. The Educational Services Committee met on Monday, August 7th. There were 2 consent agenda items. Anyone want either called out? Okay, then the committee recommends, and I move to approve ES1, which was the contract with Renaissance Learning for the purchase of Star Math and Star Reading for the 2017-18 school year in the amount of $28,178.56 to be paid for from referendum dollars. And the second one was ES2, which was the contract between WRPS and the City of Wisconsin Rapids along the district to utilize the pond and property surrounding. And I guess that's all we had, so. Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second to approve ES1 and ES2. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
All right, and then we also had an annual report of seclusion and restraint update from Matt Green, our Director of People Services. And it was regarding seclusion and restraint statistics for the 2016-17 school year, noting there has been declines over the last few years in the number of cases. And with that, I move to approve the Services report of August 7th.
Okay, we have motion second to approve the Ed Services Committee meeting minutes. Do we have roll call, please?
On the previous one.
On the previous one? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
ES1 and ES2, could you please have roll call on that? I apologize.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mrs. Hett?
Yes.
Mrs. Rael?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes. Sorry about that, Frank. We have motion second to approve the committee meeting minutes of the Ed Services Committee of August 7, 2017. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The only comment I would have is that we do encourage the local investments in our community, and Renaissance is one of those, and using their products is a good idea.
And I
I guess I'd just go over the future agenda for next month. Federal grants update, homeless education services, parent CII representative, professional development report, Renaissance learning contract, accelerated math and reading, and Meade Elementary Charter School report. With that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next we have agenda referrals, information requests. Do you have anything this month?
Just as a quick update on behalf of Lizzie, who just walked in, oddly enough. The request was made for the number of meals served over the summer. We won't know that until we conclude the program at Meade, which ends pretty much at the end of the month of August. So we'll share those numbers with you in September.
Thank you. Legislative agenda, John is not here. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to share?
A couple of real quick things. First off, there's nothing new on the budget front, which is what everybody's worried about, us in particular in education. The conversation regarding Foxconn and whether that should come before or simultaneously or after the state budget is still an ongoing battle from what has been shared most recently. And as a result of that, there's been very little action legislatively. Just I think it was today or maybe it was Friday, there were several education-related bills introduced, none of which were anything of significant note, I would argue, and also none of which were any kind of fiscal impact or financial impact or budget implications. One on licensure, one on, oh boy, it's slipping my mind now, but there was a handful, 3 or 4 of them that were very much policy-oriented and not necessarily fiscal in nature. So that's what has been happening.
Next, we can move on to the bills.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve the July 2017 receipts and July 2017 disbursements from June 2016-17 books and the July disbursements from July 2017-18 books.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve what Mary just said. We have roll call, please.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Royal?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Heck?
Yes.
Thank you, Maureen. Okay, next we can move on to new business. Item 8, possible action on employee appointments, resignation, retirement requests.
We do have a few updates in that area since our personnel service committee meeting last week, I believe. Ms. Hodgson put out a sheet with our couple of appointments and resignations. The one, let me get my sheet out in front of me here. Our one appointment that we're bringing forward is for a nursing position. We did have 2 vacancies, and one we had ready in time for personnel services last week, and we have the second being brought forward for recommendation for appointment, and that is Natasha Newkirchen. And then, unfortunately, we've had some more resignations come through in the last week. So the second item on that listing is 3 hourly employees that were brought forward resignations. Plan on not returning for the start of the new school year. So again, the administration would recommend approval of the 1 appointment and the 3 resignations.
Okay, I'd make a motion to approve the 1 certified staff appointment and the 3 support staff resignations as printed. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the 1 certified staff appointment and the 3 support staff resignations. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, discussion and possible action to approve the proposed corrective action plan and procedures proposed to respond to the OCR case.
You want me to explain what we got going on? Basically, where we're at right now is we've gone through, I've updated, you probably got this update from Maureen. We've completed 1 through 7, and we just need to get board approval on our corrective action plan, which is attached. Really, that just identifies how we're going to go and fix these problems and the timeline, really. So we just have to report back to them on that. So if you have any other questions.
I would move to approve the corrective action plan and proposed procedures to respond to our OCR case number 0516-1217 as described.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the corrective action plan and proposed procedures to respond to OCR case number 05161217. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, discussion and possible action to approve a resolution awarding the sale of $11,500,000 of general obligation promissory notes.
Last month, remember, we approved a loan from the State Trust Fund. Since then, we've been able to secure a private loan from a bank at a much lower rate, which would save anywhere from $700,000 to $800,000 over the term of the note. And so the State Trust Fund loan was at 3.5%. This is under 2.5% for the life of the loan. And it can also, at the same as the State Trust Fund loan, it can be prepaid at any time throughout the course of the note.
And for clarity's sake, we will use one of these loans, not both.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to be abundantly clear on that. Just the one 11.5.
This would replace the State Trust Fund loan.
Correct.
We'll bring, once we secure this loan and secure the funds, we will bring back the State Trust Fund loan to rescind that motion to the board.
I'm curious as to if this is, are other districts doing this, or when you go out from something that you've known for a long time, do you have any risks?
Yes. Other districts are securing loans through this bank. This was brought forward by Baird, one of our bond consultants, and they worked with the bank to secure the funding on this.
Did you think of asking the state fund to match it?
I talked to them. They were not really excited about giving us a loan in the first place.
Oh.
So, no, I did not ask them to lower the rate. The treasurer was very, if you've noticed in the news, the treasurer's been vocal about this program, so, in opposition.
Okay, I trust you.
It sounded like it was one of the things that they were looking at possibly changing the rules around it too, so.
Yes.
I would move to approve a resolution awarding the sale, I like this number, $11,500,000 of general obligation promissory notes from ZBNA at an interest cost of 2.12% for the purpose of financing energy efficiency and the capital improvement projects.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the resolution awarding the sale of $11,500,000 of general obligation promissory notes from ZBNA at a net interest cost of 2.12% for the purpose of financing energy efficiency and capital improvement projects. Could we have a roll call, please, Marie?
Mrs. Hutt?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayl?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Thank you, Marie. Next, discussion and possible action to approve using Plunkett, Rasich Architects, and Myron Construction for District Phase 2 construction project.
That's pretty straightforward. Upon review of the minutes from several months ago, Phase 2 was approved by the board, and I think with the underlying assumption that we continue working with Myron and PRA regarding that process, simply because Lincoln High School and RAMs are happening in a simultaneous fashion. The materials are here, the people are engaged. It doesn't make a lot of sense to stop and begin a partnership with new firms and organizations. But for posterity's sake, and again, clarity's sake, we're asking you to approve the continuation of working with those specifically for Phase 2. As I indicated, the minutes, I think, allude to that, but they don't directly say for Phase 2, the RAMS construction remodel project, we're going to work with PRA and Myron. So for posterity's sake, that's why it's there tonight.
I would make a motion to approve using Plunkett Rasich Architects and Myron Construction for the District Phase 2 construction project at Wisconsin Rapids Area Middle School.
Second that?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve using Plunkett Research Architects and Myron Construction for the District Phase 2 construction project at Wisconsin Rapids Area Middle School. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, update on the Phase 2 construction project and possible action to approve a revised cost estimate.
There's information, and Dan can jump in whenever necessary, in front of you on a sheet that looks like this, entitled Wisconsin Rapids Area Middle School. It's from PRA. It's a cost analysis dated October 24th, 2016, updated August 14th, 2017, and that's what shows the two columns that are relevant under cost analysis. One is the recent one, 814, and the far right is the one from the 24th of October. We're in a circumstance with the Rams remodel where there's been a confluence of issues that have kind of come together to create a shortfall in what the projected budget's going to be prior to the project even beginning. And we have representatives here from Nexus and so forth, and have been in contact with PRA and Myron to discuss, why was our initial budget what it was, and why is this updated budget coming in as it is. So you'll notice the request is that the board approve an increased budget to $9.2 million from the original approved $7.9. The sheet the group of sheets that I provided to you illustrates that rationale. If you turn the page, there's a listing of all of the components of the construction in and of itself, and not to divert your attention from that, but if you go to the last page of that packet, you'll see the total estimate at $8.128 million. The reason I bring that to your attention is because the construction number is significantly less. The updated amended construction number is significantly less than the original. That's the number that carries over onto this front sheet under cost analysis. You'll see about midway down, total $8.128 million. The cost analysis from October of 2016 was $7,229,000. So there's a significant difference there. Now, the question is, why is that? There's been a couple of things that have come to fruition over the last couple of months. Thing number one is the plumbing, mechanical, electrical, and engineering dollars are significantly higher than they originally were for a couple of reasons. First off, we think PRA underestimated what those numbers would be on the original bid, and I think justifiably so in some cases. The other piece is one of the more expensive aspects of that project, although it's not greatly different, but what was bid originally were univents for the classrooms or for areas of the addition. Univents are basically what you see here. They're like room air conditioners. There's no recirculation. It's basically like a window unit for AC in your house. When you're talking about energy efficiency and you're talking about a sound educational environment, there's not schools at all really that do univents any longer unless they're really trying to do it on the cheap, and some they're going to knock down in 10, 15, 20 years, temporary at best, or they're looking to solve a really bad problem in a very old building at the most cost-effective manner. If you're building buildings in this day and age, you're not going to go the univent route. That was bid for the portion of the mechanical project. When we're talking about the system that the plan to put in at the middle school is a displacement system where there's air that comes in one area, kind of funnels throughout the room and then is extracted in another and causes constant recirculation of air. Outside air, there's humidification and dehumidification, cooling and heating and so forth. And you have a much cleaner environment. You have CO2 and other air pollutant levels that are within acceptable indoor air quality ranges. And you have a much more efficient and cost-effective system long-term. But there is a change in dollar amount for doing univents versus, it's the same as window air conditioners versus a central air conditioner in your house, for some comparison. The other piece that's costly, and it's tough for me to even talk about this because I don't know why it wasn't discussed on the front end, but the entire addition needs to be sprinklered. Based on the reason it's tough for me to talk about it is because I would have assumed that would be in that initial proposal, but it wasn't. One of the reasons the gym needs to be sprinkled is because it's a 400-seat capacity gym. The original proposal had, I think, 250, Ed, something like that?
Yeah, 240, I think it was.
240. The conversation was with Tracy, what good does it do if you have enough bleachers to sit half of a class? or 2/3 of a class in that gym. So we increased the gym bleacher capacity to 400, and therefore that size change in the gym did cause it to have to be sprinkled. What's interesting is the rest of the addition, the classrooms, did not have to be sprinkled from the first plan, but they do have to be this time around. And just bringing that water line to the building and sprinklering that new portion in the gym is like $180,000 estimate. And the reason behind that is because this water line that they have to bring in to run a sprinkler system is pretty, industrial. It's pretty hardcore, 6-inch pipe or something along those lines. And it's going to run a long way in order to get there.
It's got to run almost 1,000 feet. And originally, they had engineered a firewall, a fire break between the existing building and the new addition. But then it was determined that firewall would have cost more than sprinkling the whole building at that point. That's kind of why they moved towards that.
And square footages have changed slightly as well from the original plan to the plan we're talking about now, not to a significant degree. There was another piece. Part of this renovation is going to be to add clearly that new gym space, which has a certain height to the roof, similar to the existing gym. And then the new portion of the building is at a different height. And then there's also a mezzanine that's included for HVAC for the gym in that new area and so forth. But what that causes is that there's an area of the building where the new portion comes in kind of like an L. Here's the new building, here's the new building, here's the new gym. And that mezzanine is set to run kind of right here. Well, that abuts the old portion of the building, and it creates a roof height differential where you're going to have increased snow load because of drifting, which means that roof underneath that area has to be reinforced in order to be able to support that snow load and be code compliant. That estimate is about $75,000+. The reason I say that is because it will have to be asbestos tested and will have to be abated if necessary, which means the 75 could go to 100 to 150 pretty quickly because of asbestos abatement. I think those are the main things, and I would defer to Dan or Ed or anybody else that has additional input. But basically what ended up happening, then you can see why the construction budget went from what it was estimated at, $7 million to 8.1. And the rationale behind the administration's request to go to a 9.2 is simply because the project right now is estimated at costing us $1.16 million more than proposed. And then we're asking for 9.2 simply as a little bit of that threshold or latitude, just in case there is, other things that come up as the project moves forward. The final piece that I'll add in, as I just talked with Steve today from PRA, he did indicate that he felt that when the bids come in, they'll probably be lower than what this dollar amount, is for, because his feeling is that the numbers in some cases are kind of high. That was partially at my request to say, can we please make sure that this isn't something we have to come back in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and say once again, we need to increase it by 200,000 or whatever. So the idea is to be, in that range, if not below. I think ideally, clearly, we're below. The final piece, and another reason that this is a difficult change, is because the market for construction, either renovations or new construction, is incredibly competitive right now, and there's places not even taking jobs. You'll do bids and get one plumbing bid. You'll do bids and get one electrical bid, which is not necessarily status quo. So that's kind of where we're at.
And just to follow up on that, when I did the projection on funding from our budget and fund balance, I was conservative on that, and based on what we're ending up this year and going forward, we'll have enough funds to cover this increase that's being proposed from our budget and from the fund balance committee. Because it's a short period of time, we may have to borrow from fund balance for 1 year and then pay it back the next. Any questions on that?
Would there be any potential insurance savings by having sprinklers throughout versus a firewall?
They're expected to be sprinkled, above the capacities, and then the whole building won't be sprinkled yet. Just the new addition and the new gymnasium will be sprinkled.
When
Not a lot.
the state trust fund, with the state insurance fund, we did get a 5% discount for being sprinkled. Our new vendor has not continued that, but it's something that our consultant is working with them on. So it's something that we're trying to get from our. We have a private insurance carrier now for our property.
The other piece it just dawned on me that was not completely ferreted out in the initial budget are soft costs, including all the AV and technology for the classrooms, desks and chairs and so forth. Those things, I think there was a very minimal budget, 50,000 or 35,000. Oh, the other, a bell, an intercom system that needs to be added to the
System,
right.
system.
So, we're at a stage where there was a budget approved, a preliminary budget, but as the project starts to take shape, based on what I know now, it's not inconceivable that that dollar amount does creep up a little bit based upon what we think and what is in reality. The only reason I hesitate slightly is because the project hasn't started yet. And any construction project you do, you start moving and then, there's going to be this and there's going to be that. But we do think that and I hope that we have these numbers fairly well in hand, and that we have estimated slightly higher than what should be necessary, so that we're not going down this path of, okay, now we need more, and now we're over budget,
Superintendent Barn hit it on the head. I mean, nobody's putting events in anymore. We've had this one interrupt meetings in the past, and, picture yourself as a hyperactive, sixth grader sitting in here trying to take a test with the univent blowing and turning on and off. This displacement ventilation, the heating and cooling won't be seen or heard, which is kind of our goal. These are our newest univents in the district right here, and I've been working with Train trying to quiet them down, and there's no fix. They bring outside air in, usually right at the foot of your building where we have wood chips and other allergens, and they blow it into the room. It's not ideal, and these guys can attest probably more than I can, but I don't know of anybody putting them in anymore, quite honestly.
The lighting also is different.
LED lighting with dimmable controls. They're finding that kids learn better, especially when they come in from bright sunlight. They come into a dark room, they're going to shut down for 15, 20 minutes until they get acclimated to that light. So, these will be dimmable LED fixtures. There's energy savings. Displacement ventilation itself will have a couple-year payback, 18 over conventional. So we're going to save long-term. It'd be short-sighted to go the cheap route now and have to replace them in a few years or work on them. This is kind of like Russ always says, 30-year solution.
Yeah, hopefully it's not, with construction projects, particularly with schools, you don't want to go Taj Mahal. So you don't want to go, garden basement either, somewhere in the middle of the road. Because the worst position, I think, to be in is to do a renovation or construction project and then have the next, several school boards and groups of community members and parents lament what the school board did in 2017, or the administration, the decisions that were made by buildings and grounds or whatever, so that the thought process is hopefully doing it right the first time.
If I may speak, I'm Jeremy Wicke. I'm with the Heat and Frost Insulators, Local 127.
Yeah.
I'm the business manager, and it was brought to my attention that there may be a contractor currently working on the project that's not qualified to meet the project requirements. And if you're talking about budgeting and, worrying about going with Chryslers or Cadillacs, trying to find the middle of the line price point, and looking for a 30-year longevity out of a HVAC system, we believe the contractor that is on site isn't training apprentices through the state of Wisconsin. We also have knowledge that the individual that's running the job is a former member of ours who never completed a training program. And it's a concern to us, and we're bringing it to the school district's attention, that these contractors that are on that job may not be qualified to do the work.
What he's speaking of is anytime you put in hot water pipes, circulating hot water, you want to insulate them and cold water. And Robinson Brothers was picked. There were two people that pulled plans on it and bid it.
This
one
was the Lincoln project.
For Lincoln,
Because
correct.
Rams has not been bid yet.
No. That it would just be the 3 bid packages at Lincoln. Robinson Brothers does our asbestos abatement, so we have a 20-plus year history. They do have a member from the local on site. Ex-member. I don't know, how long did he work?
Couple years.
And he didn't go through an apprenticeship program?
He made it through 2 blocks. He missed 1 block. We have 10 blocks. So he came.
How long does it take to get through your apprenticeship program?
4 years.
4 years.
Okay.
He's not trained. Not by us.
And in the contract from Nexus, that's one of the qualifications was that they have a successful apprenticeship program, which Robinson does not. They on-the-job train. So, I know when Kirby got a hold of me the first time, he said that they were worried about the district and, the final outcome. We have Tweet Garrett, who is a union contractor that actually subbed out to Robinson Brothers, checking on it. We have Nexus, that are guaranteeing us the energy savings at that building. And we have us as a district looking at this pipe installation, making sure it's correct. I looked at a lot of it they did today. Quite honestly, I spent probably 4 hours over there, and I'm impressed with it. So we have a history with the company, 20 plus years. We trust them to do our asbestos abatement. Not saying insulating the pipes isn't an important part of the project, but when you bid something out, we had 2 people bid it. They took the low bid, which was Robinson Brothers. I was comfortable with them, and I am today.
With that being said, with the quality assurance language in there, if the contractor isn't qualified, I believe the liability falls back on the school district if you have problems. And it's hard to assess what looks good on the outside of insulation. It's hard to tell what is on the inside or what is lack thereof on the inside. And I don't know if Robinson missed some of the project, but they did take a pretty low stab at it, and they may be trying to take shortcuts to recover that.
They were $20,000 lower than the other bidder.
Why don't we get the information from your concerns? We'll give it to our project managers from Nexus. Also work with Myron, who's project managing as well, and then see if there's issues and then address them.
I'll work with the customers. I've worked with Nexus in the past, and the results have not been good.
And you had a letter that you shared with the board?
Absolutely.
And myself?
Absolutely. We aired our concern, and that's why we're here tonight. We want to talk and have a candid conversation about that.
Right. I appreciate it.
And this is not a union, non-union issue. This is a qualified contractor issue because there are non-union contractors that do train apprentices and have licensed or have journeymen, recognized journeymen operating. I don't really care to what way the project goes as long as there's a qualified contractor there.
Right, and that information was shared in your letter, and I appreciate those concerns. I think one of the pieces that I would simply, as a reminder for, with the other people in the audience, yourself included, is that with the project, at least the way it went down at LHS, was the bidding was taken care of, was farmed out by Myron and Nexus kind of simultaneously, and the Rams project to be similar. And those concerns regarding ensuring that we're utilizing quality contractors and folks that know what they're doing is the exact same thing that I'm talking about. Whether it's a union or non-union issue is not even part of the conversation. It's about doing the right work for the most cost-effective dollar and not having to do it multiple times. That being said, I also am going to defer to people like Ed and our folks that have boots on the ground are going to be there, and we have to also, think about the fact that it's possible that someone that's not certified through your program can do a grade A job as well. I'm not disqualifying your program, I'm just saying that that's possible. And I want to ensure that everybody knows that we don't want to do anything, that doesn't meet the standards, particularly when you're talking about having kids in classrooms. The district doesn't want to be put in that position, and I don't know anybody that I've worked with here in the last 40 days that wants to be in that position. So I think we agree on some levels, but may disagree on others, and I just want to make certain that the clarity regarding what the process looks like and how we move forward with RAMs is something that, because I don't want to have the conversation again 3 months from now when we're talking about RAMs and that contractor, whoever's selected to do that same kind of work. And that may be a certified, person that may not be, depending upon the budgeting or the bidding process and what that looks like. And again, we'll defer to Ed and our project managers and coordinators to ensure that those things are being done correctly. I do appreciate knowing that, as does, I think, everybody sitting around this table, because that accountability piece and I think pride in work as far as construction is concerned sometimes is questionable. You're just trying to get it done make the most amount of money as quick as you can. And like I said, we have multiple people over there constantly, myself included, and Ron Rasmussen, high school principal at LHS, Tracy at Rams, Ed. We have a number of people that go to these meetings, and I'm meeting new people, and every time I'm at a meeting, there's 3-4 new people to meet. So, I agree with you on the same hand, but I want to make sure we knew what the process was and share that information too.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Are there any other questions?
I would make a motion to approve the revised cost estimate of $9.2 million for the Phase 2 Wisconsin Rapids Area Middle School construction project.
Second, are you on the right one?
Yep. We're on E.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the revised cost estimate of $9.2 million for the Phase 2 Wisconsin Rapids Area Middle School construction project. We have a roll call, please, Maureen?
Mrs. Medina?
Yes.
Mr. Krings?
Yes.
Mrs. Hett?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Randall?
Yes.
Thank you, Maureen. And thank you all for your input. The last item on the agenda is item F, update Phase 1 pool construction project at Lincoln.
We are actually going to request no action on item F.
Okay.
The rationale behind that is based upon the information that Dan and I have. And Dan can clarify this a little bit better, most likely. But in general, we don't believe that the cost of the high school renovation at 9.5 is going to go over that, particularly in the light of the fact that there's projects that are part of that $11.5 million energy efficiency exemption that are incorporated into that remodel project. So there should be no need to increase the LHS remodel budget. And I defer to Dan to clarify that better than what I can do for you if necessary.
Any questions on that?
If it's lower, that's good.
Okay, so we don't need to take any action on that. And that brings us to our calendar. So just a reminder for September, the committee meeting is on Tuesday, September 5th. Monday the 4th is Labor Day. Back today. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.